Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Seguin Committee of Adjustment meeting. I require a mover and a seconder, please, to convene the meeting. Moved by Lee, seconded by Len. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby convenes at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, July the 10th, 2024. All in favor? And carried. The Committee of Adjustment hereby convenes a public meeting as per the Planning Act. Applicants and the public may speak at the meeting. When asked who wishes to speak to an application, please raise your hand, state your name and address, and direct all comments through me. Notice of decisions will be sent to applicants and to the public if requested. Only the prescribed persons as per the Planning Act may appeal a decision or condition of approval within 20 days after the decision. A couple of rules of order. Those of you attending online, please remain on mute unless you're speaking, and then please unmute so that we can hear you. Those physically in attendance here, we would ask you to go to the podium if you're speaking, touch the microphone to have the green light come on, and then we will be also able to hear you, as will the people online. Mover and seconder to accept the agenda for today's meeting, please. I've got Greg and Lee. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby approve the agenda for the July 10th, 2024 meeting. All in favor? And carried. And one more time, a mover and seconder for a resolution to accept the minutes of the previous committee meeting. I have Greg moving and Wibb seconding. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin accept as read and circulated the minutes of its last hearing that took place on Wednesday, June the 12th, 2024. All in favor? And carried. And asking for disclosure of pecuniary interest of committee members on any of today's applications.
I'm on a Zoom meeting right now, sorry.
None heard. Len, any pecuniary interest today?
No, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So none heard. Then we will proceed to our applications. We have, I believe, 7 on the docket today, so I will ask the Secretary Treasurer to please introduce the first application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0018-H is to construct a screened room addition on a legal non-complying dwelling with lot coverage of 11.1% within 60 meters of the shoreline, where 7% is permitted. No formal correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone in attendance to speak to this application? Yes, sir. If you could please proceed to the podium. Who's the agent? Okay. So we have, I guess, two people here for this application. Is that correct? Yes, she is. Certainly. Yes. So yes, please go ahead. Is it Jasmine from Plan Muskoka?
Oh, yes, I apologize. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were speaking with me.
Yeah.
So our office was retained to assist with the application. Unfortunately, Mr. Varadas, the principal planner, is just stuck in another council meeting at this time. So I'm kind of stepping in here at the last minute, sorry. But we did review the staff report and concur with the recommendation. Just to give a brief overview, the applicants are proposing to construct a 12.6 square meter addition to an existing dwelling on top of the deck. So it's really just a screened room. It is a legal non-complying dwelling, so my understanding from staff is that any increase in the volume of the building requires a minor variance to the bylaw. But having said that, the applicants have made improvements by regrading the existing decking about, I believe it's 109 square meters to reduce the lot coverage, which had the effect of actually bringing it into compliance with the overall lot coverage permission, and reducing the existing from 12.7 down to the 11.1% that's requested. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Yeah, I think that summarizes it.
Okay, thank you. Stand by. We'll check with committee members for comments and questions. Anyone? Okay, no questions from committee members. If there's nothing else from your side. Oh, Len, go ahead, please.
Just a general question. When there is no comment from the building section on the approvals, is there is there a reason for that we should know? Why is there no comment?
So Len, I believe that means they have no objections and no other.
Well, it doesn't say no objections, it says no comment.
Perhaps Brady can elaborate.
Yeah, I can speak to that through you, Mr. Chair. We have two sections on our comment form, actually. No comment and no objection basically mean the same thing. So, I mean, we could always clean that up in the future on our comment forms just to make it a little bit more clear. But whether they check off no comments or no objection, it's basically the same thing.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further from anyone? Very good. Then I will call for a mover and seconder to vote on the application. Moved by Greg, seconded by Wibb. So moved by Greg, seconded by Wibb, that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approve variance application A-2024-0019-H for Chapnick to construct a 12.6 square meter screened room addition, resulting in a lot coverage of 11.1% within 60 meters of the shoreline, where 7% is permitted. The dwelling is a legal non-conforming structure as it exceeds the maximum permitted lot coverage of 7% for the area within 60 meters of the shore. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application. And number two, that the owner obtains a building permit for the screened room addition within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried.
Great. So the application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, folks attending. Madam Secretary, next application, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0019-H Miller is to construct a detached garage with a secondary dwelling unit above. The applicants are requesting a variance for an increase in building height for an accessory structure, secondary dwelling unit gross floor area exceeding 40% of the primary dwelling unit, and a secondary dwelling unit within the front yard. No formal correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you. I believe we have Mr. Corbin Patton in attendance. Do you wish to speak, sir?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. I'm just here acting as an agent on behalf of our client, the Millers. Our client, just a brief overview, our client is a steel roofer in the area and is looking for a space to, I guess, do some of his work. And with that, he would like a little bit more height in terms of the building, and which will allow him to do more so with machinery. With that being said, we're looking for a variance with height. And then also the secondary dwelling is typically permitted in the rear lot. And I guess based on the terrain of this property, it's not really conducive to do so. And so that is the rationale for the variance here. No further comment on our part, but I'm happy to answer any questions. And I guess my apologies. My address is 1150 Highway 141, Rosso, Ontario, P0C1J0.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patton. Committee members, any questions? Okay, none heard. Last call. Questions, comments on this application? Then I will ask for a mover and seconder, please, to bring it forward. We have Lee moving and Greg seconding. So moved by Lee, seconded by Greg, that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approve variance application A-2024-0019-H Miller to construct a detached garage with a secondary dwelling unit above and requests the following variances to zoning bylaw 2006-125. Section 4.1.4 building height of accessory structures permitted is 4.5 meters, proposed is 5.6 meters for a variance of 1.1 meters. Section 4.2.2A3 ground floor area of secondary dwelling unit permitted is 40%, proposed is 47% for a variance of 7%. And again, under section 4.2.2B1, a secondary dwelling unit located in the rear yard. Proposed is that it's in the front yard, so the variance is that it is in the front yard. Subject to the following conditions. Number one, the extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application. And number two, that the owner applies for and obtains a building permit for the garage and secondary dwelling unit within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried.
Thank you.
Okay, so the application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, thanks for those attending. Moving on to next application, please, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0020-H Herzig is to construct a detached garage. The applicants are requesting a variance to increase lot coverage within the first 60 meters of the shoreline. No formal correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jackson, do you wish to tell us something about this application?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I think the report supports the application, for which we're really appreciative. And I think unless there's any questions, this is a pretty straightforward request, so I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thanks. Committee members, questions, comments? Okay, then mover and seconder, please, to move this to vote. Moved by Lee, seconded by Len. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approve variance application A-2024-0020-H for Herzig to construct a 124.8 square meter detached garage on the subject lands. The following variance singular to zoning bylaw 2006-125 is being requested under section 6.2 table 6.3, column 2, maximum lot coverage within 60 meters of the shore permitted is 6.03%, proposed 7.58% for a variance of 1.55%. Subject to the following conditions. Number one, the extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application. Number two, that building permit number 2021-5382 issued for an 81.3 square meter garage on the subject lands be revoked. Number three, that the owner applies for and obtains the required building permit for the garage within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment, and that the owner amends the existing site plan agreement on the subject lands prior to the issuance of a building permit. All in favor? And carried.
The application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson. You can attend the rest of the meeting or sign off if you wish.
Thank you.
So fourth application, Madam Secretary, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0021-H standard is to construct a shed-style one-story boathouse. The applicants are requesting a variance for an increase of the highest main roof eave height. No formal correspondence was received.
All right, thank you. Do we have someone here to speak? Yes, sir. If you could approach the podium, please, and your name and address. Just touch the mic if you don't mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Bill Tatham. I live at 16 Witchwood Road and I'm the immediate neighbor. We would have applied for standing, but we only received notice of this late last week. And it didn't appear that our immediate neighbors received notice either. So we were a little bit disturbed. The variance, this shed style dwelling will be all glass on the front. The variance is on the front. It's 27% increase in height, something like that. All glass, so it'll emit more light, be a bigger property. The lake is well developed. I don't understand why we would be providing variances on the plan to visible structures that are right on the shore, that visible and visible 360 degrees around the lake from where it is. So I'm opposed to the variance just because it's counter to the official plan.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
What there?
If the green light is on, you're good to go.
Green to go. Mr. Chair, member of the committee, I don't know what the distribution is
Sorry,
for.
can we just get your name and
Oh,
address,
sorry,
please?
Walter McCormick, 13A Jean Marie Road. MCCORMICK.
Go ahead.
So a question to the committee. When a variance is requested, what is the circulation or notification requirements to residents in the surrounding area?
I'll have planning answer that for you. Go ahead, Brady.
So the circulation distance is 60 meters for a minor variance. So all the properties within 60 meters of the property boundaries get circulated.
Okay, so we're across the lake, but perhaps in future, you 60 meters on either side of the property may not be relevant to somebody who's 100 meters across from the property that's staring right at it, or that range. I mean, it's different in lake area than in city life, perhaps. And I know that won't be resolved here, but maybe just a note. So our property is at the top end of the lake. We stare right at this proposed boathouse. We have the same concern as our neighbors, the Tatham stated. We don't understand the need other than from an architectural design perspective, and that they're trying to mimic the design of their cottage to put this on the shoreline. 4 feet, it's a small child. It's all glass. We noticed that just on a boathouse further down the shore, when the sun sets in the west, this is just going to be a beacon of light that's going to reflect right at our cottage. It's not something that we would choose to look at it every night as the sun sets. So less glass, the better. That's the basis of number one. We did a lot of work on the official plan. I actually contributed to it. I've been a longtime resident. I've been up here for 50 years. Been involved in various community groups. We put in the official plan for a reason, and then I just hear variance after variance after variance, stamp, stamp, stamp. Why do we have the rules if we don't live by them? So that is my objection. Thank you.
Noted. Thank you. Could we just, get you to touch the mic one more time so that
Right.
we're appreciate it. We have Melissa Markham, please. Do you have a follow-up on and any other comments on your application?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Melissa Markham Planning and Associates, 1025 Rebecca Lane, Huntsville, Ontario, P1H 2J6. I'm here today on behalf of the owners of the property supporting the application for a minor variance. And the application is to permit a boathouse that exceeds the maximum height to the eaves, but not the overall height of the boathouse. And I was just wondering if I'd be able to share my screen for a quick presentation that I put together.
Yes, please go ahead. Just as long as it's not too lengthy.
Can everybody see that? Okay,
I
thank
can.
you. So, okay. So
Not quite there yet, ma'am.
oh,
I don't see it.
I don't believe we have it.
all right. I'll try and switch screens here. Hmm. My apologies.
So, I think you're coming through now.
You can see the screen now?
Yes, we have 56A Winchwood Road on our screen.
Thank you very much. So the relief that's requested today for the application is not for the overall height of the boathouse. It's to section 428(1)G. And the relief that's being sought, it's still for a one-story boathouse. And the overall maximum height of a boathouse is 5 meters. The relief that's being sought through this application is permit the maximum height of, instead of 3.6 meters to the highest main roof or eaves, we're looking for 5 meters to the highest main roof or eave. And that's with regards to the design of the structure. As you can see on the site plan in red here is the proposed boathouse. The boathouse is being located well in excess of the side yard setbacks required for the structure and complies with all other provisions of the bylaw with regards to size. As you can see on this image, the highest eave on this structure, 5 meters, is to the top. These are the elevation drawings for the boathouse. The glass is within the doors opening for the boathouse. In looking for the 4 tests for minor variance, I'll go through these quickly so as to not take up too much time. The application, in my opinion, is minor. As proposed through the staff report, there are no anticipated impacts. The overall height of the boathouse complies and no other relief is required. Visually, a hip or a gable roof can be taller than a single slope roof. As you can see in the images below, the eaves is still the 3.6 meters on the proposed structure. However, a hip and a gable roof are permitted to be in excess of a single slope roof because of the midpoint to the peak of the roof, which would be 5 meters. As you can see, the single slope roof that's being shown on the screen is well less in height than the gable or the hip roof would be. When looking at the application desirable for the development, the use is permitted. As I mentioned, the boathouse exceeds the setbacks in the proposed location. The design of the boathouse is being proposed to complement the dwelling, and compatibility and character have been considered in the design. The application meets the intent of the bylaw. The intent of regulating boathouse height is to ensure that built form does not dominate the shoreline. As I mentioned, the overall height of the boathouse does comply, and the bylaw was intended to restrict the gable and flat roof boathouses. As I mentioned, the boathouse complies with all other provisions of the bylaw. In terms of the official plan, the intent of the official plan is to limit the visual impact of boathouses on adjacent lands and on the natural quality of the shoreline. And the OP provides that bylaws are to restrict boathouse height. The boathouse complies with width and setback standards, and the overall height complies. As I mentioned, the application does meet the 4 tests and is good planning. We've read the staff report and concur with the recommendations as set out by staff as it meets the 4 tests for a minor variance. We'd like to thank you for your time, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. Let's see.
Thank you very much. I do want to bring up, and I think it's a fair point about the glass reflection. Is there any technical, glazing or coating or something that makes the glass perhaps less reflective across the lake?
Sorry, in terms of as I mentioned, it's just the doors on that side of the dwelling, and maybe also on that side of the boathouse. I'm gonna see. I don't know if I'm having a problem. Can you still see my screen or has
We
that?
still have your screen, yes.
Yeah, I don't know how to turn that off. My apologies.
I believe we can do it from our side, so just give us a moment.
Okay.
So again, the concern about the glass, you're saying there's really only a door that's glassed in?
Yes, that is correct. The entire height of the boathouse is not fully glassed. It is only the doors that have that glass within the doors for the boathouse itself, not all the way to the top of the roof line.
Okay, thank you. I believe Wib has a question. Go ahead, Wib.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Do you have those, can you put that back up, the drawings you had in the beginning of your presentation that show the doors and whatnot? So we can have a look at that again?
Garage doors, yeah.
Yes, I can. And hopefully this will work.
Okay, your drawing is here.
Okay, so the proposed elevations are shown on the screen. So we have the dock that's on the side of the boathouse. And as I mentioned, it's the doors itself that are glass, and then along the side of the dock, the doors that are facing the lake are the ones that have glass just facing the lake itself. These are the elevations.
Wib, did you have a question on this? Okay, yes, Greg, go ahead, please.
Sorry. Melissa, on the drawings that you have, the two doors that are facing out to the lake, you say that in the proposed design, it is only glass doors on the boathouse. Is that just inlays below the eaves? Because from this, it looks like windows.
Yes, my apologies. So yes, those are from what my understanding is, those are glazed that are above. They're not going through glass to the inside of the boathouse.
The other,
sorry, could you just clarify? You said it's glazed, but it's not glass?
Sorry, the glass doors that are see-through that you can see through to the boathouse, those are the doors. And above, as you mentioned before, was there any covering that's on those? Those are glazed, so they will not, you cannot see through the boathouse on those upper stories or those upper.
But it is glass.
It's my understanding, yes. My apologies, that they are glass.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Lee, please.
you can't say for sure yet that this is going to reflect, correct?
Well, based on Mr. Chair, based on a boathouse that's just down the shoreline, it's reflecting all the time and it's glass. So
there is one there.
have I gone and put a mirror there? No, but I'm reasonably certain if those panels are reflective, then it will glare back in our.
Okay, and seasons don't make a difference. It's going to do it all the time.
Well, as the sun sets, the only thing that will change will be the time that it reflects based on the sun moving to the west.
It'll be a brief period during the day. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll only be when you're sitting on the dock watching the sun go hours every day.
Seasonally, kind of to a
yes, when we're at the cottage from April to October.
Yeah.
For that season, likely for a couple of hours every day, to the extent the sun's out.
Understand.
It will reflect.
Yeah, thank you.
If it's reflective, but
Understand.
thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Any other comments?
Is there going to be? Is there going to be any significant development to that rock face for some kind of access egress to the site? Or is the applicant just going to use the trail that we found down through the woods?
Melissa, did you hear the question?
Yes, my understanding is that they're just going to be using a trail that's down there. There is no proposed overall development that's shown on the site plan to get down to the boathouse.
Okay, thank you.
And I would also like to bring, if there is, a request for those panels above the garage to have like a non-reflective coating on those, that's definitely something that we can look at through this.
All right.
Just like, once again, is it only those windows that are going to reflect? Are we certain of that? I mean, we're quite concerned, at our last meeting, that we retain the Muskoka look for boathouses. And, is this contemporary or not?
Okay, sorry, who else had their hand up? Greg, please.
Melissa, has there been any consideration in regards to night sky lighting for the boathouse as well? Because if it is glass doors, there's the issue of reflection, but it will also potentially be a beacon. Would it be something that you would be willing to consider?
Yes, I think that if dark sky compliant lighting was looked at for the outside exterior lighting of the boathouse, that's definitely a condition that can be added.
So Melissa, just to clarify, if I heard Greg correctly, he's perhaps thinking more about the interior lighting. Like, is there any activity at night inside the boathouse, or will there be, courtesy lighting inside that will just shine through the doors at night?
My understanding is that there would be some lighting. I'm not sure in terms of what the activity would be going on inside the boathouse. I think it's similar to dwellings where it's the exterior lighting that we could control through the application, and definitely a dark sky compliant lighting on the outside. I don't have the lighting plan, what's being proposed for the inside of the boathouse, but I can imagine for security purposes at night that there would be some lights.
Okay, thank you. I will ask the committee whether we are ready to vote on this. Yes, Lee, go ahead, please.
Is the glass panels a deal breaker? Is it required to have, looking at the structure up above, that's got a lot of glass on it. Is there any possibility of changing the design with another product in the door?
There's definitely, sorry, if the question's to me through you, Mr. Chair, definitely the proposed concept elevations are being shown through the application. They did include those glass doors for the boathouse roll-up doors. As I mentioned, those panels above could be, revised to be something that wouldn't be reflective. But they're just the conceptual drawings at this point that were proposed. So are you questioning whether all of the doors around the boathouse could be changed from glass to a different material?
I believe that's the question, yes. Is the boathouse not going to be built if they can't have glass?
I know that the request for the application was obviously through the conceptual drawings that you have before you with those glass panels. I did mention, like I said, those panels above the doors could be revised to being something different. I guess if there was a request of some of the other doors, maybe the ones facing the lake, it's something that I could take back to the owner to have a question with regards to the elevations. As I mentioned, really, it was the height that was being sought through the application for the eaves on the application, but I can definitely take something back to the owner if there is further questions.
Thank you. Wib, go ahead, please.
We're kind of in la land here, so I'm just wondering if maybe would there be an appetite to have this application deferred until another meeting, until the owners have a chance to digest this conversation and perhaps come back with something that's a little more appealing?
Melissa, could you respond to that, please?
Yeah, as I mentioned, these are the elevation drawings that the owners had wanted to proceed with for the application. There obviously were no comments before that were raised with regards to the design of the structure, and it was just a variance for that 1.4 meter height increase that we were looking at for this. As I mentioned, we could change, the panels could be included. These are the elevations that we're looking at here today. But like I said, if it is committee's request that some of those doors be reviewed to see if the materials could be changed, like I said, I could definitely bring that back to the owner.
Thank you. We have one more comment from Greg, please.
Melissa, I appreciate the variance required for the structure itself. I don't have a problem with the variance required for the structure itself. I think the issue comes down to, with a glass front on it, the impact on people on the lake is what the issue is, the potential issue. So, I mean, to Wib's point, a deferral and to give you the opportunity, if you need that time to be able to have a discussion, it may still, if you want it to go to a vote, that can happen as well. But there are concerns from the neighbors, and I'm sure that, you know, the applicant, this isn't a question that has come up to you already, and I'm sure that you and the applicant don't want to start off this project with a conflict anyway. So the question is, would it be a benefit to defer it, to give you an opportunity to speak to the client in regards to changing the doors and the windows on the lake side of the structure? I think that the questions are those are the questions and concerns of the committee. If you can make that decision now, an amendment can be made to the application. But if you need time to speak to the client, there's also the opportunity for a deferral, or it can go to a vote to the committee as presented.
Okay, Melissa, 3 choices.
3 choices, I heard 2. So I guess what we're going to be looking at, we would like an approval here today by the committee in terms of moving forward with the construction of the boathouse. As I said, with regards to the height of the structure, that was really what we were looking for. We, obviously don't want committee to deny the application though, based on those lakeside fronting doors. So I think that, a deferral to speak with the owner to take a look at the materials used on those lakeside garages. Now that we've heard comments from the public, I think that would be the direction that we would want.
Okay, very good. Give me a minute to draft a resolution to that effect, and then we'll vote to have that deferred so you have a chance to discuss.
I would move we defer the issue. And the understanding is that it would just be this one matter that would be under consideration.
That is correct.
Right.
The height variance is not controversial. Okay, so I'll just read this before we vote for comments. So we are saying we will defer application A-2024-0021-H standard to allow agent to address concerns regarding the glass finish on the lake side of the boathouse. Does that satisfy you, Melissa?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moved and seconded, please. Moved by Wib, seconded by Greg. Oh, sorry, didn't see Len. So Len is moving. Seconded by Greg. That the Committee of Adjustment Adjustment hereby defer application A-2024-0021-H standard to allow the agent to address concerns regarding the glass finish on the lakeside of the boathouse. All in favor? And carried.
Thank you.
Okay, so the application has been deferred. So Melissa, just reach out to planning staff for steps on how to move forward. And then those in attendance, just make sure your email address is written down for me so that we can make sure that you're in the loop for the next meeting, okay? Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's been voted on, but if you have a comment, we'll take it.
I just wanted to thank the Committee of Adjustment and the applicant for the consideration. Thank you.
Okay, and thanks for coming in with the concerns. Moving on, Madam Secretary, next application, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0022-C Moss is to construct a shed. The applicants are requesting a variance for a decreased rear yard setback. No formal correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone here to speak for this application? Yes, sir. Approach the podium, please. Turn on the mic, state your name and address.
Name is Robert Moss, 96 Sunny Shores Estates Road. I only really came here to see the process. I would have done it online, but the internet where I am is terrible. So it was easier to come in person.
Okay, we appreciate it. So if we have any questions, we'll ask you to come back up. Committee members, anything on this application? Okay, no comments. Len, any comments on this one?
Do we have any drawings of this or pictures or photos? The shed?
Yeah, just we have a site plan and
Yeah, okay.
I think that's all we have. A picture of a base where the shed is going.
All right. Do we have any concerns about appearances of sheds?
Planning folks, can you answer that?
I noticed, yeah, go on. Sorry.
So I can speak to this. We have provisions within the bylaw for a maximum height of 4.5 meters. Other than that, there's nothing in the bylaw that speaks to the shed appearance wise. We just have the maximum height provision for accessory structures of that 4.5 meters.
Okay, thank you, Brady. Anything further from committee? Okay, mover and seconder, please. Moved by Greg, seconded by Wibb. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approve variance application A-2024-0022-C for Moss to construct a 15 square meter shed and requesting the variance to zoning bylaw 2006-125 under section 6.3, table 6.2, maximum permitted 10 meter, what have we got? Required yards, under required yards, sorry. Maximum permitted is 10 meters, proposed is 6, so a variance of 4 meters being a bit closer. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application. I'm assuming he does not need a building permit. Okay, all those in favor? And carried.
The application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
All right, Madam Secretary, next application.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0023-C Butler is to construct a roof over an existing deck attached to the cottage. The applicants are requesting a variance to increase the maximum lot coverage within the first 60 meters of the shoreline. No formal correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you. Anyone here for this application? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium. Touch for the green light.
Mr. Chair, committee members, my name is Bruce Butler. I am the applicant and homeowner of the minor variance that you're reviewing today. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, stand by.
Yep.
Committee. Any questions for Mr. Butler? You have no questions, Mr. Butler. I will ask for a mover and seconder, please, to move this to vote. Moved by Wibb, seconded by, we got hands everywhere. I'll take Lee. So moved by Wibb, seconded by Lee, that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approve variance application A-2024-0023-C for Butler to construct a roof with a footprint of 32 square meters over an existing deck attached to the cottage on the subject lands. The following variance to zoning bylaw 2006-125 is being requested under section 6.3, table 6.3, column 2. Maximum lot coverage within 60 meters of shore permitted is 7.5%, proposed is 8.3% for a variance of 0.8%. Subject to the following conditions: that the extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application. Number 2, that the owner demolishes the southern shed on the subject lands, and that the owner obtain a building permit for the roof covering within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried. Mr. Butler, you have a shed. Roof. Sorry, shed was the last one. You have a roof. Yes, sorry.
The application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, last one, Madam Secretary. Who do we have?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0024-8 Morton is to construct a detached garage with a guest cabin above. The applicants are requesting a variance for an increase in accessory structure height as well as an increase in guest cabin floor area. No formal correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you. I'm assuming you're representing this application? No, you were earlier. Sorry, who do we have for this one? Lindsay.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Lindsay Kachuk, and I'm here on behalf of my client, Daryl and Lindsay Morton. My address is 172 Dunlop Street West in Barrie, Ontario. I do have a small presentation, if I could share it with you.
Yes, please go ahead. Okay, we have it up on our screen.
Excellent. We are proposing to construct a detached garage with a guest cabin above. The detached garage is proposed to be 137 square meters in size and located approximately 48.2 meters from the shoreline of Turtle Lake. The variance that is being requested because the structure exceeds the maximum allowed height and we did this because we need to accommodate the guest cabin above. The proposed guest cabin also exceeds the maximum allowable floor area. There's a visual of the cabin and garage.
Oh.
Here is the location of the subject land, as well as an aerial view showing the very treed lot. Here's the existing site and the location where the garage will go. The proposed accessory structure will be located approximately 48.2 meters from the shoreline of Turtle Lake, exceeding the minimum required of 20 meters. The proposed structure within the 60-meter shoreline setback, and the proposed total lot coverage So the cottage and the new structure is less than 6% coverage within that 60 meters. We are proposing this location to eliminate cutting into the forest area, which would also likely cut into bedrock and require blasting. The garage This would also require a regrading of the site for proper drainage and rerouting of the main power line and propane line that feed the generator. So here is an elevation. And I just wanted to point out that by having the guest cabin above the garage, it reduces additional structures on the site. And then for planning, here is the floor plan. So our cabin is a little bit bigger than the 60 meters because we need to accommodate for a family member that's in a wheelchair. And so there is an elevator and obviously additional turning space for someone that is in the wheelchair. In conclusion, I'd just like to show you a couple of images here. And we're also willing to provide a revegetation plan to implement to ensure that the lake side of the structure is naturally preserved. I would like to thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Committee members, comments? Yes, Lee.
Maybe Melissa can help. Page last referred to the septic system from Danny Burns. Question being, is that septic system going to be replaced or modified? I don't get what's going on from this letter.
Okay, I'm not sure what letter you're referring to.
So I believe there was an attachment. Is that this one?
It's an email from a Danny Burns. And it refers to the wet area up to the forest. And that the North Bay Mattawa Conservation at the time of pre-septic inspection, when they were redoing the septic, did it get done? Does it need to be done?
You know what, Mr. Morton, if he's on the call today, maybe he can answer that.
Yes, I am here. Daryl Morton. I am I guess the property owner here at 67 Bridgewater Lane. The septic was redone roughly 2 to 3 years ago. Completely new septic done by local construction people there. And yes, the North Bay Mattawa was very concerned because where the property line met the grading at the driveway, it was very wet. So they had asked if there's any way for us to direct water away from that area. So we have a full weeping tile at where the dirt meets the driveway that goes all the way around that whole area and feeds into a small stream between my property and the neighbor's property.
Okay, thank you, Lee. That answers your question. Okay. Any other questions from committee? Okay, I will ask for a mover and seconder, please. Moved by Greg, seconded by Lee. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approve variance application A-2024-0024-H for Morton to construct a detached garage with a guest cabin above and request the following variance to zoning bylaw 2006-125 under section 4.1.4 building height accessory structures for guest cabin under 4.1.10D. Maximum permitted 4.5 meters. Proposed is 6.3 meters for a required variance of 1.8 meters. And under section 4.1.0 for guest cabins, maximum permitted 60 square meters, proposed as 78.2 square meters for a variance of 18.2 square meters. Subject to the following conditions: that the extent of the variances will conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted with the application. Number two, that the owner applies for and obtains a building permit for the garage and guest cabin within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. And number three, that the owners enter into an agreement with the municipality pursuant to section 45, subsection 9.1 of the Planning Act to be registered on title, which will include provisions such as the submittance of a revegetation plan prepared by a qualified professional to be approved by the Director of Planning. All in favor? And carried.
Thank you.
So the application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, moving on to other business. Do we have any other business from anyone? No business. Then we are ready to adjourn, folks. If I can have a mover and seconder, please. Moved by Lee, seconded by Greg. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin does hereby adjourn this hearing at 4:56 p.m. on Wednesday, July the 10th, 2024. The committee will hold its next hearing at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, August the 14th, 2024, or at the call of the chair, unless the Secretary Treasurer has not received complete applications for committee consideration. All in favor? And carried. Thank you, sir. And thank you, attending people.